Hello everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and I was really excited about this new Tomb Raider film. I've never actually sat down and watched the two Angelina Jolie films from start to finish, but from what I could tell, they were just really goofy, over-the-top action movies. And this one looked a bit grittier and realistic and not overly sexualized. And I was excited about this, and coming out of it, I'm like, I was pleasantly pleased with the fact that this wasn't a dumpster fire of a video game movie. Was this a great film? No, but I think it was competent enough where it worked. And let's talk about it. This film was directed by Roar Uthog. I think that's how you say it. And the cinematography was done by George Richmond. This was written by Geneva Robertson Dorette and Alistair Siddons, and composed by my man, Junkie XL, and starring Alicia Vikander as Lara Croft. And this was a fun time throughout certain sections of this film. This is what I'm going to say about this film. It's an inconsistent film, because the first third or so of this film is really interesting, and they have some great shot action sequences, especially Uthog and Richmond, between the director and the cinematographer, were able to put together some awesome chase sequences, specifically a bike riding sequence earlier in the film, and then a chase through a bay on a bunch of docks, and they were very exciting, very well shot. And I feel like the in-camera shot action sequences in this film really, really work. And the things that don't work so well is when it goes full-blown CGI mess, which there's quite a few parts in the later half of this film where it goes really, really CGI. There's a boat sequence in the middle of the film that it's at night. It's hard to see the water. It's hard to see what's going on at certain points. And it's just the over-reliance of CGI throughout this film. I think this could have been a really, really cool film if it really relied on more practical effects, and those sequences really work. It's just when it gets too CGI and ragdolling and stuff like that it really takes you out of the movie. And there's a sequence towards the middle of the film that should have been really awesome, but because all the CGI, and honestly this film drags towards the middle, and that's where the pacing really hits a brick wall or a tree, because you're in the middle of the jungle. And there's just a sequence where I got really bored, and I'm just like, oh, when's this gonna pick up? Because I was really into it through the first third of this film, and then it does really pick up, at least for me it did, towards the end of the film, when you really get into like the tomb raiding. And I think the one thing that really does keep this film on track throughout most of this film is the performance by Alicia Vikander, because she was fantastic. I loved her as Lara Croft, and she hits on emotional beats, because there's this connection, her and her father. This relationship is a driving force of this film. It's her motivation for going on this journey in the first place, and I felt their emotional connection. And I think Dominic West does a nice job as well, pulling off his performance. I'll talk about him a little bit more briefly soon, but I feel like Alicia Vikander really carries this movie. It's the kind of film where it's like they introduce a character, there definitely could be sequels. This movie sets up a sequel. Trust me. In a really like, I'm going to smack you in the face, here comes a sequel kind of way. But it's like, I'd rather see this character in a different story, and I think it would have been even better. And that's what I'm excited about. It's just a matter of, is Tomb Raider going to make enough money for them to warrant making sequels to this film? I don't know, because it looks like Black Panther's probably going to win the box office again, because Black Panther is wrecking stuff. But the thing that I really did appreciate is what Alicia Vikander brings to both emotional and physical moments in this film. She has great charisma, she really has great screen presence, and her interactions with all the other characters makes it more impressive, whether it's Kristen Scott Thomas or Derek Jacobi for like 2 scenes apiece. But the scenes with her and Dominic West are really powerful. I really enjoyed them. Now, from a writing perspective about this story, I think the biggest issues here are, one, this is so much exposition, and the character of Richard Croft, her father, gets so just wasted so much with exposition, and half the lines that Dominic West has are just spewing exposition, and it's just like, okay. It's just like, I felt like there was a better way they could have dealt with that, and it's just like, just talk at you. I'm just going to keep talking at you because you need to know all these things. And the story is interesting for the most part. Like, I like the story. There's certain sequences of the story that after a while it's just like, okay, this could have been trimmed a little bit, and it lags in the center, but picks up. But the thing is, besides Lara Croft and her father, but the thing is, he's wasted a lot with exposition. There's not a whole lot of interesting characters, like her sidekick guy that she meets. He's not super interesting. Walton Goggins' villain in this film, I felt like he got better throughout the film, because when you first introduced to him, he feels like a Colonel Kurtz ripoff, and he's just like, I'm gonna spew vague, weird things to you, and in my intense Walton Goggins way. And like, he did it fine, and he tried to sell it the best he could, but it just came off weird. But then when it really got down to, he had decent motivations, honestly, for trying to do stuff. And one thing I did appreciate about this film, it kind of deconstructed the supernatural things going on and some of the tropes of it tried to deconstruct some of the tropes of like these adventure films, and then smacked you in the face with them anyway. And I thought those were some interesting choices. One of my favorite things about this film is the score, and the score was really, really well done. I'm sitting through this film thinking, who made this? Because this is actually really well done, and a really good score to go along with this film. And I would like to hear more of this. And then it came up Tom Hulkenberg, and I'm like, oh, it's Junkie XL. That's why I liked it. And it's a really well done score, and it really works for this film. And in general, that really works in this film, building up the tension throughout some action sequences, especially with the music and stuff like that. Overall, it's kind of clunky and overuse of CGI, yet it's still solid. And for this new and improved Lara Croft, and for a video game movie, this is actually pretty well done. So I'm going to give Tomb Raider a C+.